I'm Len Fridman, and welcome to another edition of the CEO Tour. Today, we have an opportunity to talk to Rachel at Soul Speak Yoga. I'm curious, and I'm sure the audience is out there, about your story, about how you started in yoga and what transitioned you from being a lover of yoga into owning a business.
Okay, so I mostly found yoga because in my early 20s, I had a lot of anxiety, like crippling anxiety. I was on all kinds of anxiety medications, and someone said, why don't you try a yoga class? Because yoga is good for your mental health. And I actually lived only half a block from a yoga studio, and I went to a class and I have never stopped going. In fact, her class, that instructor who I went to, now teaches for me at our studio. And it was a Monday night, and I never miss Monday night, 7:00 yoga. So that was how I found it. And it just basically like resonated with me. I don't ever recommend this, but one thing I always like to point out is that I no longer am on any types of anxiety or depression medications. And I 100% have credited that to my experience with yoga and my practice. About 2 years after that, after finding it, I decided to do a YTT with the past owner of this studio. So that's kind of twisted, but I'll explain it. So I did her yoga teacher training at Transcend Yoga. And then I kept looking and researching, I wanted more, I wanted to learn more, I wanted to go farther. And then I found yoga therapy at this studio in Salt Lake. So it's about an 1.5-hour drive. And I started that every weekend. And then the pandemic hit and it got shut down. So I was only in the first 3 months of getting my yoga therapy certification when COVID hit and everything shut down. And Transcend Yoga, where I was currently teaching, of course, closed as well. So after we stayed closed for about 6 weeks, and then we opened with very, very, very limited, 6 to 10 people per class. And about a month later, the owner of Transcend Yoga was going to close. And I felt like my path was ending. So I sat with it for a day or two, and then I called her and I basically said, if you are going to close it, what if I buy it? We essentially just switched roles. I bought the studio and she is now a teacher. She's actually the one who I sent the video, the online flow, that's Chantel, and she created the wonderful community that we have. We were in this little tiny space and people couldn't distance and we couldn't fill classes. So I started looking around town, I'm not even joking. I just would walk down streets looking in windows, to see if buildings were under construction. And then I'd find out who owned them. And I would call to see if we could take that space. And I found a space that's much, much bigger. And now we can have more people in our classes while still keeping them distance. And we also still do all of our online classes. So it was kind of like a wow. all around story.
Wow. Such a beautiful story. And then I thought, it's not really a story, it's more like a journey. That's so inspiring. I hope people really had an opportunity to feel it. I felt your story, as you're describing what was happening, I was imagining. So how did you come up with the name of your studio?
I had a daughter and I named her Solara because part of yoga has just been this love for the sun. Inspiration was my daughter, but then also we speak to the sun, we speak to our inner soul when we're doing yoga. So that was the inspiration for it.
Wow, that's so cool. Now we've been dealing with the situation with the pandemic and had such a devastating effect on many people, not only their physical well-being, but their mental well-being as well. And that was cut off. So tell us through how you got through that.
Well, like I said, yoga helped me get through all of this, my anxiety and everything. And when it stopped, it took a couple of weeks for everyone to get online. And I feel like yogis and technology don't always mix, but I tried doing online and I couldn't feel like the connections that I had felt. So I messaged the girl who I took her class very first. It's probably like 15 by 20 feet studio on the back of my house. And I said, my mental health is suffering and I'm hoping that you would be okay with doing just one-on-one with me. I have a big enough space that we can spread out. And she agreed to continue to come and just teach me. And she was teaching online as well. And so was I. And I was like teaching from this room. But I mean, everybody needs human connection and it was so hard. So, I mean, I feel like I got really lucky in parts of the pandemic, and we're also in Utah and we did not get hit nearly as bad as some bigger places. I was watching the case count every day, being obsessed with the case count. So the beginning, we were actually quite safe and protected from everything that was happening. But that was kind of how I got through all of it. But I had to have yoga. And in fact, my husband was like, can you like go do yoga? Cause you're stressing me out. And like, if I'm ever having a bad day, he's like, is there a class tonight that you could go to?
So cool.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll go. You watch the video, I'll go.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So tell us about sort of like your wellness living story. Like what brought you to wellness living? Where are you coming from? Why did you decide to switch?
So it's kind of funny, actually. We were with a different software, and because of our lower numbers and their very, very extensive price, we started looking for other ones. And I have a niece actually who lives in Long Beach, and she came to stay with me for a few months because all her school is online and they were so locked down out in California. And I was telling her one day, I was like, what does your yoga studio out in California use? And she said, they use Wellness Living. And I said, oh, okay, cool. I'll research it. You know, like I had a few different ones. And then one day I got an email from Wellness Living and they were like, following up with your questions about the software. And I was like, I didn't email or look up or anything. And so I asked her about it and she was like, oh, like she got really worried that I was mad. She was like, I put your information on because you were asking about it. And I hope you're not mad at me. And I was like, no, I'm not mad. I'm really excited. I was gonna do it anyway. And then someone called me and we ended up talking about it. And it just seemed like just a good fit for us, especially with so I love our branded app because also with the pandemic, it has the exact amount of people who are in attendance, how many people have signed up. So we have a lot of older people who come to the studio and I can say to them, hey, look on this number. And if that's too many, if that feels uncomfortable to you, you can pick a different class. I'm like, this is the greatest thing about the app is that when you sign up, you can see how many other people are signed up and then you can make a decision from there. We get so many people saying positive things about that like every day. So that's been great.
Yeah. So going back to the software. So I know a lot of businesses out there are kind of hesitant about switching over because one of the reasons is, hey, they may think I'm so already ingrained in this other software. All my data, my client data is there. The schedules, like I'm in the mix of, you know, I'm not closed, I'm running a studio. How am I going to possibly make the switch happen? Talk us through your experience with that process.
I was worried about all the same things too. And I also was worried about when we let people know that they would take the opportunity to cancel like their memberships or their passes. And especially since we had just gone through the transition of ownership, I was very worried. I thought like, we just changed owners. We've got not really a different vibe. It was all the same instructors, but a little bit. And now we're gonna also change the software. And then we're also gonna move to a different space. Like it was a lot of change all at once, but it ended up being super, super smooth. Like we were able to get everyone's information from the previous software to that one, all within a day. We knew when we were doing it, the day was scheduled, the time was scheduled. So I was able to sit down at my computer and have my phone near me for anyone who called or had booking issues or anything like that. And we really only had a couple things, but I don't think we had a single person cancel their pass, stop coming to class or anything like that. Like, it was so smooth that a lot of people didn't even notice. And then they came to the studio and they're like, hey, I can't sign in for class. And then I told them and they're like, oh, great. Like, it was just really smooth, really easy, which was good. Because that was a concern for sure.
For sure. So that's amazing. I know that we have like such an amazing group of people. I'm so fortunate to work with like our company has grown so much, and I always try to maintain relations with, you know, all our staff members. Having these like these CEO tours, I really love them because they remind me why I'm doing all this, right? I'm doing it for all you guys, right? To build something amazing and to make sure that you guys can grow your business, get more people healthy and fit.
Yeah, actually with your, with the tech team, I told this too, because I had my, like my check-in and review, my wellness review, the other day with one of your team. And I just make really stupid jokes all the time, but he was so nice to me and we had a great time. And I told him, I was like, every time I've called the tech team for anything, they literally have treated me like gold. I'm like not even joking at all about that. Like, every time I get off the phone with them, I'm like, oh, I hope next time I call, I get that person.
Like, it's a really cool job because like you basically, that people are calling you in for help, you're helping them, and then, you know, you're showing them and you're teaching them and you're solve their problems. You're like a problem solver. Yeah. So as far as the next 3 years, 2-3 years ahead of time, like where do you see yourself? Where do you see your business?
I think so okay, so my older brother owns part of the studio with me. He's helped me like get everything going, and he has like a big vision of opening more studios and spreading it and even expanding into other parts of fitness. I think for me, that was never even on my radar. Like, to me, it's just, I just want to share yoga, and I hope eventually I can do my yoga therapy or even get some yoga therapists here to our studio, just because I truly believe and know how incredible the healing process of yoga and the practice is. Sometimes it sneaks in a little bit, like maybe we'll open another studio or maybe we'll have like a fitness center that is something else, you know? So I think mostly I just want to grow what we have.
I think that's amazing. I think one of the really important things that I like to think about a lot is kind of the importance of living out your dream. Like, whatever your dream may be, I think it's your purpose in life to kind of go after that and like pursue that dream, right? Whatever it may be. Thank you so much for being on this tour with me and joining me today. You know, it's been a phenomenal time talking to you. For all you guys out there, thank you for tuning in. This was a really special one. Remember, if you're in Utah and you want to take an amazing class with an amazing person with an amazing, absolutely incredible story, check out Rachel, Soul Speak Yoga.
Thank you so much.
Right. Thanks, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing content like this. Thanks, guys. Bye.